Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good morning to all the viewers. I'm Hiral Dadia. Clearly, if you see, in terms of markets, that somber move continues, but we are below the 19,400 mark. And a lot of stock specific action is what continues. The breadth in terms of Nifty 50 is skewed towards the bears, but the broader markets are doing much better. If you see in terms of Bank Nifty as well, it's pretty much on the borderline, slightly above those 44,000 levels as we speak. Let's welcome in our guest Vijay Chopra to discuss more in terms of what one should be doing with the individual counters that we have been talking about. Vijay, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Hiral. Thank you for having me on the show.
Always a pleasure. Vijay, let's start with the Geo Financial Services. A third consecutive session of lower circuit is what we are seeing on the counter. A lot of questions that do emerge, for people from here on as to what is to be done because clearly, in terms from a business perspective, a lot of analysts are of the opinion that there is not much clarity in terms of what the company is going to do, what valuations to ascribe to it. Uh, what is your view? Do you think it's, without any clarity, it is commanding a high premium? Two, there is limited scope in store for an upside perspective in the short term, but probably aspects could improve from a longer term perspective. And where do you see buying emerging?
Well, Hiral, it is, as I'm as perplexed as others are that when the buying would emerge. But the exchanges have extended this for the listing for 3 more days, and this says volumes about the kind of cloud Reliance has, because Reliance is a heavily owned share. Uh, I think that institutions, individual investors, they're holding it for years, and it's like family gold for a lot of people. So I think that JFS also being a bonus share is with a lot of people. There are institutions, there are funds who are exiting, they are booking profits. Definitely the valuations were on the higher side, but if somebody says that Mukesh Bhai has come up with something without a plan, I would beg to differ. Because whenever Reliance comes up with a company, they do have a plan in place. Look at what Geo Telecom has done. Initially people used to think that they are rolling out freebies, and I don't know, people never commented on the revenues, and now it becomes one of the biggest players in the telecom space within a few years. So Geo Financial definitely would do a lot of I think a rethinking. All the financial services companies are in a rethinking mode. They've gone back to the drawing boards. So I'm sure they are going to come up with the plans. So nobody knows what exactly JFS is going to come up with, but I'm sure that there is a plan. And to the question you are asking, when this lower circuits would end, I think that a couple of more days, and then probably it would be taken care of, or buying would emerge. Because valuation wise also the stock has come down quite a bit, so the valuations will also be reasonable as compared to the listing price.
Right.
So a very difficult question to answer at this point of time, but for the longer term, seemingly they do have a plan, and they are going to come up with some kind of a disruption which is going to make life, I won't say miserable, but difficult for other financial services companies. So this is the way Reliance has been functioning, and the way they have been strategizing. They come late, but again they come with a splash, and definitely there are going to be the ripples.
Right. So that's Geo Financial Services. Moving on, Glenmark Life Sciences in focus as well. And this is on the back of news reports where P firm Chris Capital is saying that they're firmly in the race to acquire Glenmark Pharma's stake in Glenmark Life Science. Simultaneously, you have the detergent to chemical maker Nirma, who's also being talked about, who's close to closing the deal. That's what is doing the rounds. What's your view? Because Glenmark holds little over 80% with regards to Glenmark Life Sciences. What would you advise investors to do basis this news reports?
Well, I think that Glenmark is one of the pharma majors. They've been around for a number of years, and they would be around for a number of years. So if at all there is some kind of a exchange in the shareholding, and there are companies and institutions who are interested to buy, I think it's not at all a problem. So stay invested in GLS, I would say, and stay invested for a long term. I think that pharma has been sideways for a number of years, and since almost 1.5 years, we are seeing the revival of pharma companies. I think most of the big wigs you talk about, whether Cipla, Glenmark, or Sun Pharma, or Dr. Reddy's, or Divi's, all these companies have done well in the last 1.5 years. And I think that, this pharma cycle would go on for some time. So definitely I'm bullish on pharma, and buy on dips should be the strategy.
Right. Similarly, Cipla has been in focus as well, seeing a good run up. And earlier we were talking about Blackstone and barring PE who were looking to buy a stake. Now it seems Torrent Pharma has joined the fray to buy out Meet Family, that's the promoter, and a company that is more than double its FY23 consolidated revenues, right? How are you looking at this both from a Cipla as well as a Torrent Pharma perspective? Because again, these are news reports which are indicating the same and clearly indicating that there's a lot of consolidation that's happening in the pharmaceutical industry, it seems.
Well, yes, with dollar strengthening, I think most of the pharma majors are into exports, and they get a major chunk of their revenues, almost one third. Maybe certain companies are doing half their revenues from exports, so they are making money there for sure. Whenever dollar strengthens, Cipla is a pharma major for sure, and yes, as I said, that I would be a buyer in top pharmaceutical companies. I would buy on declines, and Cipla and Torrent both. I think that they can correct a bit because the stocks have really moved up, both of them. I think that Cipla is a good buy around maybe 1050, 1080, and about Torrent. I think that post the run up and the correction, I think that there is some more correction in store. If at all it comes around 1750, 1800, it could be a fantastic buy. There's also a gap which in the technical charts which probably are going to be filled. So I would be a buyer on declines.
That one. Another pharma company is Polymedicure, which is up in trade. In fact, as we know, it's one of the largest Indian exporters of consumable medical devices. The kind of capex that is ongoing for the company on completion will actually double its existing capacity as well. And it's mainly the new therapies and the ramp up that they're seeing in the US market that is expected to drive diversification for the company. What's your view on a Polymedicure?
Well, again, as I said, that almost post March, or we have seen that pharma companies have started doing excellently. This new financial year has been a boon for most of the pharma companies, and of course, the related devices companies. The stock moved up today very sharply, went up to almost 1580, 1590. There would be some kind of a correction which is around the corner, but again, as I said, I am bullish on pharmaceutical and healthcare companies with a 5-year perspective. So if at all we see a fall in the stocks, I would be a buyer. Then I don't see a reason why people should just jump and buy right now. There's no point. Buy in a correction is again my call for most of the pharma companies. Polymed also has moved up quite a bit, and I'm seeing that the CCI and RSI, it has gone up sharply. But again, I think that there is a huge potential upside. But if you want to buy afresh, buy in or buy on a dip, and if you are invested, stay invested.
Right. Moving on from the metal pack, you had Hindalco, which had its AGM yesterday. A couple of comments that have come in that's making the stock see some good moves and volumes as well. It's the top gainer on Nifty 50. They've said they're planning an investment of almost 2,000 odd crores, and they've already established technology tie-ups to bring advanced technologies to India. Clearly, it is a capex plan that they have announced as well at the AGM. How are you looking at Hindalco and the metal pack?
Well, I think that Hindalco is one of the best companies, well-placed companies, international companies, Indian multinational, which is there in the farmers, in the metal space. Novelis has started doing well. Lately, there were issues related to fuel, surge. The plants were not able to operate, and there was a lot of pressure on the balance sheet because the fuel prices went up very high post the war. But again, these things are settling down now. Hindalco seemingly has given a very good guidance for the future quarters. So I think that this stock has a potential of going up to 600. So long-term investors stay invested. It's also a dividend-yielding stock, a Nifty 50 stock, fantastic management, and again, a very good global footprint. So stay invested in Hindalco. I am fairly bullish on the metal pack, especially Hindalco.
Right. Moving on, Brightcom is another one that is in focus where SEBI has barred the CEO and the CFO from the company's boards. It has also restrained Shankar Sharma as well as 21 others from selling the shares of the company. Now, from a fundamental perspective, as well as the concerns that we are seeing on the back of the alleged fraud and misrepresentation of financial statements, what would you advise someone who's holding shares of Brightcom to do?
Well, I don't see any fundamentals in this company. I
Mhm.
don't track this company that much, but again, whatever I've read, I'm not able to make head and tail of what kind of business this company is into, how they represent their revenues, who are their people. Even if you go to the website, you're not able to very clearly, see what the business model looks like. And again, probably, people should not get caught into the frenzy. I would say that, if at all somebody has it, should get out, get into fundamentally strong companies, strong stocks with a visibility. I'm not able to make head and tail of what BCJ is. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant about this company. But again, looking at the charts, looking at the fundamentals, I'm not very comfortable recommending this stock ever.
The last one I want to discuss with you is the TVS supply chain, which listed today a 5% premium, is what we've seen in terms of listing. What's your view on the stock?
Well, it's TVS is one of the most respected companies, hailing from South India,
Mhm.
and I think that this is a backward integration. Mahindra has done it. Mahindra Logistics is a good company. So similarly, companies when their billing, becomes, or goes on the higher side, they hire logistics companies. So they think it's a good idea to backward integrate and have the company of their own. Definitely, they can pick up business from outside. So here you have a captive business of TVS Group, the entire Murugappa group and the related companies. And of course, they can pick up business from outside. With a longer term perspective, I'm very bullish on logistics companies. They should do well. And I think it's a great company. If at all you get it in a correction, one should have.
Right. So at Corrections, it's a good company to look at as well. Thank you, Vijay, so much for joining us on the show and sharing the views. So clearly, today also is a day of a lot of stock-specific action that we've been witnessing in the markets. But clearly, the moves are absolutely somber in terms of overall benchmark indices. Kobe are below the 19,400 mark with regards to Nifty 50 and trading slightly above those 44,000 levels in terms of Bank Nifty. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching and lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to BQ Prime.